Hey seniors, are you drinking plenty of water, but still feeling tired, stiff, or even cramping as you get older? You're not imagining things. After 60, your muscles actually lose their ability to hold on to water, even if you're drinking a gallon a day. And here's the surprising part. It's not really about how much water you drink. It's about how well your body can use that water, especially in your muscles. Because what most people don't realize is that hydration is not just about water. It's about minerals. Without the right minerals in your system, your muscles can't pull water inside the cells where it matters. That means poor recovery, lower energy, shrinking muscle mass, and more strain on your heart, kidneys, and joints. This is why you can be drinking water all day and still be dehydrated at the cellular level. Now, why does this matter so much after 60? Because muscle isn't just for movement. It's your metabolic engine. It helps regulate insulin, burn fat, and support your brain. And muscle tissue is about 75% water when it's healthy. But as we age, the body becomes less efficient at absorbing both water and electrolytes, especially if you're dealing with medications, low stomach acid, insulin resistance, or a low-salt diet. So, the root issue isn't just, drink more water. The real solution is to optimize intracellular hydration. That means getting water into the muscle cells, not just through your mouth and into your bladder. And here's the good news. There's a simple, inexpensive thing you can add to your water that helps your body actually use that water the way it's supposed to rehydrate your muscles, improve recovery, prevent cramps, and support fat burning, energy, and longevity. Let me start with a simple question. If you're over 60, have you been told to cut back on salt? Most people have. In fact, low-sodium diets are practically a default recommendation for older adults. But here's what's rarely explained. Your body doesn't just use sodium for blood pressure. It uses sodium to hydrate your muscles. And when you go too low, especially as you age, you're not just losing flavor. You're losing function. Let me explain what's really going on inside your body. Your cells, especially your muscle cells, are like tiny balloons. To stay full, firm, and functional, they need water inside them. And sodium is one of the key minerals that helps pull water into the cell through a process called osmosis. You can drink all the water you want, but without enough sodium, that water stays outside the cell and gets flushed right through your kidneys. That's why so many people over 60 still experience dry skin, fatigue, cramps, and lightheadedness, even when drinking plenty of water. Now, here's the part that surprises most people. Low sodium intake can actually lead to muscle loss. Why? Because when your cells are chronically dehydrated, the body breaks down muscle tissue to try to recycle the minerals and amino acids inside. It's an emergency backup system. But over time, it leads to weakness, shrinking muscle mass, and poor metabolic function. A 2022 review in Nutrients highlighted that elderly populations often experience what's called normonatremic dehydration, meaning normal blood sodium levels but low intracellular sodium. This leads to poor hydration where it counts, inside the muscle cells. Now, to be clear, we're not talking about table salt here. Table salt is highly processed, stripped of trace minerals, and often contains anti-caking agents like aluminum. That's not the kind of sodium your body thrives on. Instead, I recommend switching to a natural, unrefined salt like Celtic sea salt or Himalayan pink salt. These contain not only sodium chloride but also magnesium, potassium, and over 60 trace minerals that support hydration, adrenal function, and electrolyte balance. Let's break this down with a simple whiteboard analogy. Imagine your muscle cell as a sponge. Water alone just drips right off the surface. But when you sprinkle a little mineral salt onto that sponge, suddenly it absorbs and holds the water. That's what sodium does at the cellular level. And here's the protocol. Start your day with a mineralized water drink. Mix about 1/4 teaspoon of Celtic sea salt into 16 to 20 ounces of filtered water. Drink this first thing in the morning before coffee or breakfast. You can add a splash of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar to support digestion and mineral absorption. Avoid drinking plain water in excess. Drinking too much plain water without minerals can actually flush out electrolytes and worsen cellular dehydration. Instead, sip on mineral water or add a pinch of salt throughout the day. Track your symptoms. If you notice fewer muscle cramps, better energy, or improved bowel regularity, that's a good sign your body was missing this key hydration signal. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post daily content like this to help you fix your metabolism, muscle health, and energy naturally. And one more thing, if you're on blood pressure medication, talk to your doctor before making big changes in sodium. But in many cases, supporting proper mineral balance actually helps stabilize blood pressure because it improves hydration and reduces stress on the adrenals. So, don't fear sodium, fear dehydration at the cellular level. When you give your muscles the minerals they need, you don't just prevent cramps. You help rebuild strength, support metabolism, and slow down the aging process from the inside out. We've all been told that if you want to build or protect muscle after 60, you need more protein. And yes, protein is critical. It provides the raw material, the amino acids, to rebuild muscle fibers. But here's what most people don't realize. Without the right electrolytes, your muscles can't actually use that protein effectively. In fact, electrolytes like potassium and magnesium are what make muscles fire, recover, and hold on to water. Without them, it's like trying to build a house with bricks but no workers, no tools, and no electricity. So, here's what's really going on inside your body. Your muscle cells are powered by electrical signals, and those signals are only possible because of electrolytes. Every single time you move, lift something, or even just stand up, your nervous system sends an electrical impulse to the muscle, and potassium is what allows that contraction to happen. At the same time, magnesium helps your muscles relax afterward. So, if you're low in potassium, you might feel weak or shaky. If you're low in magnesium, you might get cramps, spasms, or restless legs at night. And both are essential for holding water inside the muscle cells. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your muscles are like an electric car. Protein is the frame and the wheels, it gives structure. But potassium and magnesium are the battery and the wiring. They make the thing actually run. Without electrolytes, you're left with a very expensive shell that doesn't move. And here's the issue after 60. Most adults are severely deficient in potassium and magnesium. According to the CDC, over 98% of Americans don't meet the recommended daily intake of potassium, and the gap is even wider in older adults due to lower appetite, medication use, and reduced kidney efficiency. Magnesium deficiency is also common in people over 60, especially if you're taking diuretics, PPIs, or dealing with blood sugar issues. What the research shows is that electrolyte imbalance directly affects muscle volume. A 2019 study in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle found that potassium depletion was associated with an increased risk of sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, due to impaired muscle cell hydration and reduced contractile strength. So, what can you do? Here's your functional medicine protocol. Start tracking your potassium-rich foods. Aim for 4,700 milligrams of potassium daily, not from supplements, but from real food. Best sources include avocados, 975 milligrams per avocado, spinach, 840 milligrams per cooked cup, salmon, 700 milligrams per serving, squash, coconut water, and even unsweetened tomato juice. Add magnesium before bed. I recommend magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate, around 300 to 400 mg in the evening, especially if you get muscle cramps or trouble sleeping. This helps relax the muscles, restore hydration, and support overnight recovery. Add potassium citrate to your water in small amounts. This form is highly absorbable and can be mixed with your morning or midday water. Just 1/8 teaspoon can add about 300 to 400 mg of potassium. But go slow and monitor your response. Pair electrolytes with salt for synergy. Remember, these minerals don't work in isolation. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride all work together to create the proper electrical charge in and out of the muscle cell. That's what maintains hydration and muscle tone. So, again, protein is important, but it's not the whole picture. If your muscles don't have the mineral spark they need, you won't get the full benefit of your workouts, your protein shakes, or even your healthy diet. Think of it this way: protein builds the structure, but electrolytes turn on the power. If you've been told that insulin is only about blood sugar, you've only heard half the story. Because here's what most people, even many doctors, don't realize: insulin also controls how your body handles sodium and potassium. And when insulin stops working properly, which is common after 60, your ability to hydrate your muscles quietly starts to break down. Let me explain what's really happening inside your body. When insulin is working the way it should, it does a lot more than move glucose into your cells. It also helps your kidneys retain sodium and manage electrolyte balance in your blood. At the same time, Insulin helps move potassium into your cells, where it activates muscle contraction and holds onto water. But in insulin resistance, which affects over 50% of people over 60, this whole system gets disrupted. Here's the whiteboard analogy. Picture your muscle cell as a balloon that needs potassium inside to stay full and firm. Insulin acts like the pump, it pushes potassium into the cell. But when you become insulin resistant, that pump gets jammed. Potassium stays outside the cell, water can't follow, and the muscle cell starts to deflate. So, what's the result? Your muscles become dehydrated and weaker. Even though you're eating well and drinking water, your kidneys start excreting more sodium, leading to further fluid loss, and your body starts compensating by raising cortisol and holding on to water in the wrong places, like the ankles, face, or belly, instead of inside the muscles. This is why so many people over 60 experience cramping, muscle weakness, poor recovery, and even weight gain, not because of lack of effort, but because their cells simply can't hydrate properly due to poor insulin signaling. And what the research shows is clear. A 2020 paper in Frontiers in Endocrinology found that insulin resistance significantly impairs sodium and potassium regulation, increasing the risk of both intracellular dehydration and sarcopenia, muscle loss associated with aging and metabolic disease. So, if you're dealing with insulin resistance, even in the early stages, you're not just affecting your blood sugar. You're literally draining water and minerals out of your muscles day after day. But here's the good news, you can reverse this. And it starts with restoring insulin sensitivity. Here's your functional medicine protocol. Eat in a compressed window, 8 hours or less per day. Intermittent fasting is one of the most powerful ways to lower insulin and improve electrolyte balance. A simple 16/8 fasting schedule, like eating from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., can help reset potassium transport and reduce sodium loss. Ditch refined carbs and hidden sugars. Eliminate anything that spikes insulin, like bread, cereal, fruit juice, or snacks between meals. These not only raise blood sugar but also disrupt the electrolyte pump inside your muscle cells. Add apple cider vinegar before meals. 1 to 2 tablespoons in water before a meal has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, especially in older adults. Plus, it helps with mineral absorption, especially magnesium. Prioritize potassium-rich, low glycemic foods. Leafy greens, avocados, and cruciferous vegetables support both electrolyte balance and blood sugar control. Add chromium or berberine if needed. These natural compounds have been shown to support insulin signaling and electrolyte management. But always start with food and fasting first. So, remember, you can't fix hydration without fixing insulin. Water, salt, and minerals are essential, but if insulin resistance is blocking them from getting into the cells, you're still running dry on the inside. Fix the root, and your hydration starts to work again naturally. If this has been helpful so far, consider giving the video a like or subscribing. I post these kinds of science-backed natural protocols every day. We've talked about the importance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. But now, let's make it practical. Because the truth is, if you're over 60 and waking up feeling stiff, tired, or foggy, your body isn't just low on energy, it's low on hydration at the cellular level. And there's a very simple habit you can start tomorrow morning that can change that almost immediately. It's called electrolyte priming, and it starts with your first glass of water. See, after 8 to 10 hours of sleep, your body is naturally dehydrated. You've lost water through breathing, sweat, and urine. But you've also lost electrolytes, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And here's the key. When your cells are low on electrolytes, drinking plain water can actually make the problem worse by diluting your minerals even further. So, what we want to do is add the right mineral blend to your morning water to wake up your metabolism, rehydrate your muscles, and improve energy for the entire day. Let me explain it like this. Think of your cells like dry soil. If you pour water onto dry soil with no minerals, it runs off the top. But if you add a little mineral-rich solution, like compost or electrolytes, the soil absorbs and holds the water more deeply. That's exactly how your cells behave. So, what should you actually add to your water? Here's the morning hydration protocol I recommend, especially for adults over 60. Start with 16 to 20 ounces of filtered water. This should be the first thing you drink before coffee or breakfast. You're priming your hydration system before anything else enters the bloodstream. Add 1/4 teaspoon of unrefined sea salt. Celtic sea salt or Himalayan pink salt are best. They provide sodium chloride and up to 60 trace minerals. This helps activate the sodium-potassium pump that pulls water into the cells. Add 1/8 teaspoon of potassium chloride or potassium citrate. This boosts intracellular hydration by driving potassium into the cells, which is what really holds the water in place. Important: if you're on medications that affect potassium, like ACE inhibitors or diuretics, check with your doctor first. Optional: add 200 to 400 mg of magnesium glycinate or malate. You can take this as a capsule or use a powdered electrolyte blend that includes magnesium. It helps relax blood vessels, support adrenal function, and prevent muscle cramps. Add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. This adds a gentle acid that supports mineral absorption and stomach acid levels, both of which decline with age and affect hydration and digestion. Stir and sip slowly over 15 to 30 minutes. This gives your cells time to absorb the minerals and lets your digestive system ease into the day. This simple protocol helps restore intracellular hydration, meaning your muscles, nerves, and cells actually pull in and hold the water instead of just passing it through. Now, you can also use pre-formulated electrolyte mixes, but choose carefully. Look for ones with no added sugar, at least 500 mg sodium, 300 mg potassium, and 100 mg magnesium per serving. Clean ingredients, no artificial dyes, fillers, or preservatives. A few good options include Element, Redmond Relight, or unflavored electrolyte powders, but always read the label. The key here is consistency. If you do this hydration protocol every morning for just 1 week, you'll likely notice fewer leg cramps, improved energy and alertness, better bowel regularity, less joint stiffness, and even improved blood pressure or insulin sensitivity. This is one of the fastest, simplest ways to improve how your muscles function and feel without a single pill or workout. And it works because you're fixing hydration at the root level, inside the cell. So, try it tomorrow morning before coffee and notice how your body responds. So, let's say you're adding the right minerals to your water. You're drinking enough fluids, and still, you're not feeling the benefits. You're still cramping. Your energy is low. Muscles still feel weak or stiff. Why? Because the issue might not be what you're drinking. It might be what your body can't absorb. And this brings us to one of the most overlooked causes of poor hydration in older adults: low stomach acid. Here's what's really going on inside your body. After age 60, your body naturally produces less hydrochloric acid in the stomach. And that acid is essential not just for digesting food but also for activating and absorbing minerals like magnesium, calcium, zinc, and even potassium. Without enough acid, minerals stay in the digestive tract and often get excreted before they can be absorbed. And to make matters worse, many people over 60 are also taking acid-blocking medications like proton pump inhibitors (PPIs) or antacids. These are prescribed for acid reflux, but over time, they can completely shut down the stomach's ability to absorb key electrolytes. A 2021 study published in Clinical Interventions in Aging showed that long-term PPI use significantly reduced magnesium, calcium, and vitamin B12 absorption, all of which are critical for muscle health and intracellular hydration. So, here's the whiteboard analogy: think of your stomach as a gatekeeper. If the gate isn't working, if acid is too low, then no matter how many minerals you put into your water, they're not getting through the door. That's why it's not just about what you consume, it's about what your body can use. So, how do we fix this? Here's your functional medicine protocol: test for low stomach acid at home. A simple DIY test. First thing in the morning, drink 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda mixed in water. If you don't burp within 3 to 5 minutes, you may have low stomach acid. It's not diagnostic, but it gives you a clue. Add apple cider vinegar (ACV) or lemon water before meals. 1 tablespoon of ACV in a few ounces of water 10 minutes before a meal can stimulate stomach acid production naturally. This supports digestion and improves mineral absorption. Try HCl with meals cautiously. Betaine hydrochloride is a natural supplement that can boost stomach acid levels. Start with 1 capsule during protein-rich meals and monitor how you feel. If you get a warm or burning sensation, back off the dose. Avoid drinking large amounts of plain water during meals. Water can dilute your stomach acid if consumed in excess with food. Instead, sip smaller amounts during meals and drink more between meals. Watch your medications. If you're on long-term antacids or PPIs, speak to your doctor about whether they're still necessary or if there's a way to taper off while managing reflux through dietary changes. Many people stay on these drugs for years without reassessment. Rebuild the microbiome. Poor stomach acid often goes hand in hand with gut dysbiosis, an imbalance in your gut flora that further impairs mineral absorption. Include fermented foods like sauerkraut or kefir, or consider a high-quality probiotic supplement. And here's the big takeaway. Even the best hydration protocol won't work if the minerals aren't being absorbed. Your stomach acid is the on switch for mineral metabolism. Without it, your muscles are trying to run on empty. So, if you've been doing everything right but still struggling with hydration, energy, or cramps, start looking at your digestion, especially your acid levels and medications. Fix the gatekeeper, and suddenly the hydration tools you've already added, the salt, potassium, magnesium, start working again. You'll feel it in your energy, your muscle tone, and your recovery. At this point, you might be wondering, why does all of this matter so much? Why go through the trouble of adding minerals to water, optimizing electrolytes, fixing stomach acid, and addressing insulin resistance? Because here's the truth. Most people don't realize hydrated muscles aren't just about movement. They're about metabolism. Let me explain what's really going on inside your body. Your muscle tissue is your metabolic engine. It's where fat gets burned. It's where glucose is stored. It's where energy is produced. And healthy muscle is roughly 75% water. When that water is inside the muscle cells where it belongs, your metabolism hums along efficiently. You burn more calories at rest, you have better insulin sensitivity, you recover faster, and you feel stable and strong. But when your muscles are chronically dehydrated, which happens easily after 60 due to low mineral intake, low stomach acid, insulin resistance, and medications, your entire system starts to downshift. And here's the kicker. Dehydrated muscles burn less fat. They become less responsive to insulin. They shrink in volume, leading to sarcopenia, frailty, and increased risk of falls. A 2018 review in the Journal of Gerontology noted that cellular dehydration in skeletal muscle not only reduces physical performance but also worsens mitochondrial function and slows metabolic rate. In other words, your energy production drops, your body stores more fat, and your risk for age-related decline skyrockets. Here's a visual analogy. Imagine your muscles are like sponges that are either full or dried out. A full, hydrated sponge is springy, strong, and metabolically active. A dry sponge is stiff, brittle, and can't do much work. Hydration isn't just about comfort. It's about whether your muscles work the way they're supposed to. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Well-hydrated muscles are more stable. They improve your posture, balance, and resistance to injury. They buffer against blood sugar swings. They keep your mitochondria, your energy factories, running more efficiently. And they help regulate cortisol, the stress hormone that breaks down tissue and stores belly fat. So, by simply improving hydration inside your muscles, you're creating a ripple effect. Stronger muscle, better mobility, better hydration equals lower cortisol and blood sugar. Improved muscle tone equals higher resting metabolic rate. More intracellular water equals better fat burning, better recovery, better aging. That's why professional athletes focus so much on electrolyte timing, but it matters even more after 60 because our margin for error gets smaller with age. So, here's your functional health challenge. Hydrate smarter, not just more. Make your first glass of water in the morning count. Add sea salt, potassium, and lemon. Sip it slowly. Protect your muscles like your life depends on it, because it does. Muscle is the most important organ for aging well. It protects your joints, stabilizes your hormones, burns fat, and supports your brain. And hydration is what keeps that muscle functional. Track how you feel. Most people notice within 3 to 5 days of proper hydration, better energy, fewer cramps, easier bowel movements, improved clarity and mood, and even leaner looking muscles due to restored water balance. This is what happens when you stop chasing surface level fixes and start supporting your body at the cellular level where real change happens. So, don't just drink more water. Hydrate your cells, nourish your muscles, and unlock the metabolic power you still have, even after 60. So, let's zoom out for a moment. We've been taught to believe hydration is about one thing, drinking more water. But now you understand true hydration is about getting water into the cells, especially into your muscle tissue, where it fuels energy, fat burning, and healthy aging. And after 60, this process becomes more fragile. You're more likely to lose sodium through the kidneys. You're absorbing fewer minerals because of low stomach acid or medications. And if insulin resistance is in the picture, your cells can't even pull in potassium to stay hydrated. So, despite your best efforts, eating clean, drinking water, your muscles are still shrinking, your energy is dipping, and you're wondering what's missing. But now you know the missing link is mineral-driven metabolic hydration. Let's recap the core insights. Sodium is essential. The right kind of salt pulls water into muscle cells and prevents tissue breakdown. Potassium and magnesium are critical. They run your muscular electricity and keep your hydration inside the cell. Insulin resistance silently dehydrates your cells, even when you're drinking enough water. A simple morning water protocol can flip the hydration switch and prime your body for energy all day. Low stomach acid and certain medications block absorption, so we need to fix digestion to make hydration actually work. And most importantly, hydrated muscles protect your metabolism, your balance, your fat-burning capacity, and your longevity. This is why you can't separate hydration from metabolic health. They are two sides of the same coin, and your muscle tissue is the currency. So, here's your next step. Tomorrow morning, try the hydration protocol. Start with 16 ounces of filtered water. Add 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, a pinch of potassium, and a splash of lemon or apple cider vinegar. Sip it slowly before coffee or food. Track how you feel, not just immediately, but over a few days. Notice if your energy improves, if your brain feels clearer, if those stubborn cramps or afternoon crashes begin to fade. Because the more your cells are hydrated, the more your muscles thrive, the more your metabolism works in your favor, not against you. And remember, you're not too old. It's not too late. You just need to start supporting your body the way it actually works. If this added value, give the video a like and subscribe to join others optimizing their metabolism, energy, and longevity naturally. Your body is smarter than you think. Let's give it what it needs to do what it was designed to do.